In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, it is perfect. It's Tuesday night. It's 9 p.m. and your homeboys are here to talk about the Carolina Panthers. That's right. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast. My name's Tony Dunn. We chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective every Tuesday night. You can be a part of the show by calling in at 252-228-5098. And I'm glad my main man, Cody Lashney, my co-host, is here tonight and a part of the show.
Tony Dunn. As always, there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than hanging out with my boys, talking about some Panther football. And as always, we've got the best Panther fans in all of YouTube joining us. Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, Jeremy Clancy, Anthony Rochelle, Sarah Taylor, Underground West, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
I sure hope that the audio is working, because it does not show the levels.
It is because it's picking. It's showing me the subtitles.
Okay. Well, I hope on the stream it is. We should probably check.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Okay, good. Because in OBS it usually shows a lot of activity on the levels meters, and it is missing tonight. Weird. We got CK in the house. How you doing, my friend?
Living the dream. Just having a good time, just ready for football. I've been sitting here racking my brain all day, and Cody comes in with a bomb of what we're going to be talking about tonight. But I tell you, it's feast or famine out there today.
Gosh, it is the quietest time you could ever imagine when it comes to Panthers football, and arguably football in the history of football. Greg, thank God you have a building to build, 72 podcasts to host, and a family to take care of, because you would be bored if you didn't.
Yeah. I actually question myself at times and wonder, what am I going to do when sports starts back up? Because my schedule is going to get even tighter when sports start back up, because I've got to keep sports in there. But, man, it's Tuesday night. I'm off tomorrow. I got a brown bag bottle with me here, and I'm ready to talk some football.
Greg is building his own building, guys. It is ginormous and looks fantastic. I have one construction question before we go on in the show.
Okay.
Are you going to do your own, are they called trusses, like the rafters and stuff? Or are you going to get prefab ones?
No, I'm going to go ahead and build my own, because it'll be cheaper in the long run to build my own. Look, this building, if I bought it, would cost about $10,000, and I'm less than $2,000. I'm about $1,800 into it right now, and all I have left is the trusses, the boards that go on the outside, and the most expensive part is probably going to be shingles and siding or whatever I choose to do. But either way, I'm going to get out for like $4,000 if I do all the work myself. And prefab,
the trusses are the intimidating part to me.
Yeah, it is for me too. It's tough, because usually everywhere I've ever done this at, it's kind of prefab.
That's all of them do that now. Yeah, and then they just put them on with a crane. But I'll be interested to watch that. Just like I was interested in watching Cody Lashney's podcast, The Cripple Connection. Cody, you guys did a lot of talking about the PS5 on your podcast, and we saw the games, and it was exciting in one hand. I was a little disappointed in the games on another hand.
Yeah, you're not alone in that. I don't think there was one title that Sony
Stray
that was a grand slam. No, Stray did look dope as shit, man. And listen, personally, I love those little, I love it when developers take a chance and do some weird shit that isn't just your normal Call of Duty, GTA type run of the mill crap. I like when they do some off kilter stuff that gives you a different experience. But yeah, it was a good press conference overall, though. That's a weird look for a console. I'll tell you that.
It looks like like a spaceship taco.
It looks like it has a popped polo collar.
It looks like a frat boy from the 90s.
Yeah, dude.
I've seen pictures of people taking consoles and putting like paper together, like on top of it to make it look like that. And then I've seen pictures of people taking a PS3 and a PS2
I've seen
and taping them together.
the eye of Mordor. They put that and put the big eye over the top of it.
Yeah.
Dude,
What was the one that I think you shared, Cody? It might not have been you, but with the PlayStation 5 surrounded by a bunch of if that's what the Xbox is going to look like, that's insane, by the way. Like that big block.
Yeah, that big block. I think that's what it's going to look like.
That's insane to me.
Yeah,
it's like nobody's going to have a place for that. Like,
yeah.
How big is it? Is it like a cube?
It looks like a mini fridge.
It's like yeah. Yeah. It's like
so it looks basically take two of the current, or let me rephrase, not even the current Xboxes. Let's talk about the original Xbox One when it came out, because that was a pretty thick console.
Right.
Take two of those and stack them together, and that's what this looks like to me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible to look at.
Yeah, but anyway, what was that? What was that?
Good.
What was I maybe missed whatever that was. What was the point of that?
But the
picture of the PS5 surrounded by like 5 of those Xboxes.
Like they were bullies.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not even sure what picture you're
okay, I thought
about.
maybe for whatever reason I thought you had shared it, but it's definitely it's unique, I guess. From a design standpoint, I like the digital version a lot better. So you can definitely tell that they actually created that PS5 for the digital version and then added the disc in later.
Yeah, and another thing why I'm disappointed is we didn't get a price too. Not a price for either version. So
they're just sitting and waiting. They're sitting and waiting. Yeah, they're waiting for the other person.
They gotta wait for the pandemic to clear, dude. You can't put a price tag out during pandemic watch and everybody be like, mug.
Especially because there's also no way that it's less than like what $500.
It's $550 $4.99 if I had to get $4.99 or $3.99 for the two options, because it's kind of PlayStation and Xbox kind of at a staring contest. Who's going to blink first to announce the price?
They're going to $4.99
anyway.
They're going.
Yeah, they're not coming out until like November, December. So I mean, people are
probably got about 15,000 focus groups they've got to do before they start doing that.
They probably are both going to jump this to $5.99. Like, remember when Apple did it with the phone? And it took us from about $600 phones to $1,000 phones.
Maybe,
like that's probably what's going to happen.
What I'm interested in knowing is what's going to be the difference in price between the two of them. Because I mean, how much more are you going to value being able to go out to a GameStop of all places and buying a disc? Like, how much extra is that worth it to?
I think they're about to price out.
Yeah, they definitely are.
They're going to price out.
Who doesn't have a disc?
Digital. I mean, get the disc one.
Oh, you don't have to have a disc. So every game I buy, I just download straight to my PlayStation.
But it takes like 20 days, dude.
And that's why places like GameStop and are going out of business, and they're starting to make games go more digital. Because you think about it, somebody goes and buys a game brand new from a store. They play it, they beat it, they get done with it, they take it back to GameStop, and it gets sold for $30 or $40. Well, PlayStation doesn't get that $30 or $40 on the resale.
So I remember at a time,
they want to take away the
trying to get rid of the ability to resell. They were trying to get rid of that because like it was taking away money from them, and now the consoles have created an entirely different way of making sure people can't just resell the game. But the issue, I think, and I know we're talking about something way off from the Panthers podcast, but to your point, Greg, I think that's why also you're starting to see GameStop switch to more of a memorabilia type of a store rather than a game store. You
don't want to be in their stock.
GameStop. I'll support you all the way, GameStop.
No,
you don't want to have their stock right now. You don't want to have their stock. All right, so here to kind of dovetail the conversation to football. I think isn't the new Madden coming out like any moment?
Yeah, so today they just released the brand new trailer for it.
And I saw Lamar. Lamar is hyped because he's like the star of it.
Yeah, he's the cover athlete this year.
Yep, he's doing flips.
Flipping
over jet skis.
Okay, but hold on. Patrick Mahomes was the cover guy last year, and he was the Super Bowl MVP, dude.
He got missed. Remember, he also had a knee injury, and we thought he did be out for a while.
Yeah.
So
good point.
Imagine had he been out for that knee injury, that curse would have been 25 for 25.
Oh.
The Madden curse is pretty strong. There has been people that it hasn't touched. The one thing though that interests me, and CK and Cody could take the lead on this discussion, is we see a generation of kids who grew up that are now in football who played Madden growing up. Right? Yeah. Is that I haven't seen someone more hyped about their debut on Madden than Lamar.
Yeah. Well, and that's right. I think you are seeing a bit of a culture shift, because it is like, it's kind of like going and playing, football and having your quarterback be your favorite quarterback growing up, right? And there's a lot of people who felt that way about Tom Brady, Joe Montana back in the day. And so now it's kind of the same feeling, I think, for him. He's now experiencing being the star of something that he was in awe of for his entire life. So it is interesting to see that transition.
EA cut him a hefty paycheck.
Oh yeah,
just like they did with Patrick Mahomes the year before. So it's not, dude. Honestly, like Cam got ripped off not being on the cover of Madden the very next year after his MVP season.
Yeah, definitely.
Who was on it? Who was it? Was it Von Miller?
Von Miller. It was Von Miller. Yeah, it was Von Miller. Thanks to good old Mike Rimmers.
I guarantee you, if he'd won that Super Bowl, it would have been Cam Newton.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was not even a question about it. Regardless of how he played, it would have been Cam Newton, hands down.
But by the way, Madden, talking about how important it was for, a younger generation, like me doing my work for Draft Tax, like part of me understanding football was playing a lot of Madden and understanding what the plays meant and what was cover 3 and what was zone coverage and, what was trips right and trips left and all these, you learn that playing Madden, and a lot of people, that's how they understand the X's and O's. So yeah, and you just grow up playing your favorite players. Everyone remembers the stories of Michael Vick and how, I think it was Madden 2002 or 3.
If you were playing,
if you were playing with Michael Vick, you damn near had a cheat code. Like you could just throw it all over the field, run all over the field, do whatever the hell you wanted. So I'm interested.
It was Bo Jackson and Techno Bowl. That's what you could do with Bo Jackson.
I'm interested to see if they do the same thing with Lamar Jackson, because everyone compares Lamar to Mike Vick. So I'm wondering if he's going to be just unfair this year.
I think it's going to be hard. I think you're going to see a little bit of the Cam effect with Lamar going forward, and that it's going to be hard to replicate that success.
The problem is that he is going to end up being judged just the same way that Cam Newton was. The moment he starts making mistakes, he's going to lose his fan base immediately. Like, I mean, not his entire fan base, but there's going to be a large portion of people that are Baltimore fans that are going to say, all right, let's move on. Let's see what else we have in the pocket, right? And it's going to stem from.
What about not even making mistakes, but even with Cam, injury, right? That's team problem. Not team problems, but issues. They had a good team with him.
Aren't yours?
They had a year that was very reminiscent of the Panthers' 2015 year, because it was largely magical until the end, and it was both offense and defense. But Lamar did put up like 5 touchdowns, like a quarter. His numbers were insane last year, greater than Cam's probably in some respects.
But he's so shifty. But the thing about it is his body is not built like Cam Newton's. So he's going to have to continue to be shifty and not get touched and not get hurt and be better from inside the pocket too. Because again, we all saw it with Cam Newton. And in case you couldn't tell by the title, tonight's episode is very Cam Newton centric. But, even Cam, after a certain number of years, all that damage takes a toll, man. It doesn't matter if you're 6'5", 250 pounds. And Lamar Jackson isn't like that Kyler Murray type, where even though Kyler is small, he does a good job of getting down, whereas Lamar is just trying to make you miss. And when it works, it's incredible to look at, man.
Just like Cam, it was incredible to look at whenever it works.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not saying Lamar is going to get hurt or that even his style of play is problematic. What I mean is that, like, very rarely are careers as they're supposed to be. You know, is that like, I mean, because next year the Chiefs should just win, right? It should just be the Chiefs and the Ravens, and let's just call it a day. We don't got to play the games, but there's all of these factors that go into all of these things. It could be injury with him. It could be problems like just bad luck at times. The ball bounces the wrong way. And so their success was so difficult, so great, and so immense. It's just hard to eclipse that year after year. And maybe that's why we love Patrick Mahomes so much as a entity in the world, because he just seems to do it every time.
Well, I will say this though, I do trust the Ravens organization to continuously put a better team around Lamar than what we continuously put around Cam the majority of his time when he was here. I think the Ravens organization is much more trustworthy, dependable. That whole Ozzie Newsome group, they have a great offensive line. Like it just takes having a transformative quarterback on a rookie contract and a smart enough team that knows how to build a roster around that player. And yeah.
Real quick, let me ask you while you're talking about that. You say that you want them to be smart enough to build a team around him. Do you think that he has a better team than Cam Newton had starting out?
Oh, absolutely. Him? Yeah. When you look at from a defensive and offensive perspective, the amount of weapons that he has to start out. Yeah. I mean,
his weapons are not that great, though.
Well, he
just got that one receiver. Yeah. He's new, right? He was a rookie last year.
He's got a hell of a defense.
Yeah, the defense is
they're good. It's not like that he's got the best players in the NFL on offense around him. They are good. You know, they tend to play, and they're well coached. You know, Jim Harbaugh, right? Is it Jim? I always get him confused.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh.
He's been to the playoffs like 9 out of 13 years. Won a Super. You know, I mean, these guys. He's been amazing. Kind of a testament of what he was, a special teams coach. I feel like there have been some really good head coaches that were special teams coaches.
Yeah, I think him and Jim and John were special teams coaches. But also remember, they're a run-first football team like we were too. I mean, they were that offense last year was one of the most prolific rushing offenses of all times. I mean, when you look at Lamar Jackson and Ingram, I mean, they were pounding the rock. So when you do that, you don't necessarily have to have a bunch of star receivers, you know. And they use a lot of tight ends, and that's why they're able to run the ball so well, because they deploy a shitload of 2 tight end sets, and sometimes they'll have those tight ends blocking, or they'll have them break off, you know, rushing downfield for an easy 5-10 yard pickup. I mean, that's why Greg Roman was getting all the coaching hype. You know, a lot of people wanted Greg Roman to coach Cam for the Panthers, but it was not to be.
And is he still with them?
I believe so.
Yeah. He was a hot name when we were talking about a lot of this. And I guess he's just had maybe the opportunities weren't. Nobody really gave him that much interest, though. He was a hot on our shows in the talking heads, but I didn't feel like he got a lot of praise from organizations themselves.
Well, I also feel like I know why too, and then I'll pass the mic. His offense is very dependent on the RPO, so he needs a Colin Kaepernick, Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton. He really benefits from having a quarterback that doubles as a dual threat, but that's just me.
All right, you did highlight the name of the show. Well, at least there's Cam to talk about, and there is nothing really to talk about when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. I think last week we talked about the statues coming down. I don't even know if we talked about that in the show, but
no, it happened the day after. We used to break news on a Tuesday before the show happens. Now it's all been happening.
We're back to the normal news dump. That's the normal news dump is a Wednesday, and for the last 2 years we have been blessed that it's been Tuesdays for some reason. But you're right. The statues come down. What did they say? Public safety. That's kind of That's funny. What, like fans were gonna go tear him down because of what's going on in society right now?
So I don't know what you guys think, but I totally think this was David Tepper pulling a power move, finding the one loophole in his contract to get that fucking statue out of there, bro. All he had to do was say, "Oh, you know what? It's a safety hazard. I can move it because it's in the contract that I can do it."
I think.
Did he move it or did the city move it?
I think Tepper.
Oh, okay.
Because the Panthers were saying that they were afraid, or that, and so this is what's bullshit, right? I didn't hear anything about it. Not saying it didn't exist. I'm just saying I didn't hear it. But apparently there was a bunch of, they heard rumors that the statue was going to be vandalized in some kind of way, shape, or fashion. So they wanted to get ahead of it and just remove the statue. I so wish they would have left the two Panthers and just took Richardson. Man, those are so awesome, man. But
I don't know why those are safety hazards.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to pull those.
Didn't they move them to like an undisclosed location or something?
Yeah.
Basically, they just took him, threw him in the ocean or something.
I'll store him.
What if what if Tepper like scrap ironed him, scrap metal, and took him to the scrap yard?
Just took him to the scrapper and got the money for it.
Yeah, got per pound.
There's no way
I'm a billionaire, but I didn't get this way by giving away a penny, dude.
I know. I think that they should give.
I wonder
if you're listening, David Tepper. Why don't you just like give one to me? I'll just put it in my yard.
You can have the Jerry Richardson one. I'll take the two Panthers.
How about you take one Panther? I'll take one Panther.
I'll split a Panther with this fun.
Gosh, if we weren't so woke as a society right now, somebody would go put that Jerry Richardson thing in front of a courthouse. That's what they would have done 100 years ago. Put Jerry Richardson in the courthouse.
But I forgot who I was talking to. I'm pretty sure that they have to keep that statue together because like whoever built it as a piece of art, it's not complete unless that's all together. So,
I see.
So whoever owns that statue, like they have to do something with it, or else I'm pretty sure Richardson's people could sue. But they have to do something.
We brought it collectively to the scrapyard. That's what they did. It's one piece. It's still together. It's just a square now. All right. So that happened last week. And then also around Thursday or Friday last week, this pops up. And this is Rich Eisen, who is fantastic, by the way, talking to Panthers head coach Matt Rule. And hopefully this will work.
That decision, and we're able to get Teddy. And as you said, I mean, he's 27 years old. He's taken a team to the playoffs. He's proven last year that he still has everything that it takes. And so we just felt like, what a great opportunity to get him in here for 3 years, on a 3-year contract. Let him be our quarterback. Yeah, fits our system. He knows Joe so well. They were both in New Orleans together, and see what he can do. And I've just been so impressed with him, really throughout these past weeks. As we're doing things virtually, he really loves the game of football. And, when he talks about it, you see him light up, and you can see people already.
Is that the right clip?
To him. I think
that's not the right clip.
Hey, no, it is, but you started a little too late.
Did it start late?
Just ask you point blank.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's like good.
Ask you point blank, Coach. Was Cam Newton not a fit for you? Is that what happened with him?
No, I would never say that. I think Cam Newton's a great quarterback and a great person and a great leader. And his impact on the city of Charlotte, was tremendous, both on the field and off the field. So I just think, every decision has to be looked at like kind of in each time and space and where we are right now and kind of where we are as a team. We just felt like, hey, this is what we have to do, and this was the right decision for the team. And so, it's not ever any one thing. It's just, you have to make these decisions, which are hard, but you feel like, hey, this is what's going to be the best for us in the long run. And so, once we made that decision and we're able to get Teddy, as you said, I mean, he's 27 years old. He's taken a team to the playoffs. He's He's proven last year that he still has everything that it takes. And so we just felt like, what a great opportunity to get him in here for 3 years, on a 3-year contract. Let him be our quarterback. Yeah, fits our system. He knows Joe so well. They were both in New Orleans together, and see what he can do. And I've just been so impressed with him, really throughout these past weeks. As we're doing things virtually, he really loves the game of football. And when he talks about it, you see him light up, and you can see the people already on our team, responding to him. I think he's going to be really good for us.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more.
My question after that video is, was Greg right?
Yes, man.
Was Greg right?
Greg, jump on him, Greg.
I'm writing it down because he answered that question. He answered that question he said no, it wasn't about Cam Newton not being a fit with us, and then later on in the conversation,
it was about Cam Newton.
It was about how Teddy was a good fit.
Right, exactly. He was so right there. He just I don't know how you can have a conversation like that where in the beginning of it you say, well, it wasn't about Cam Newton being a good fit. And then whenever you get to the end of the statement where you had nothing else really to say and you're trying to transition, you say, well, it just wasn't a fit for our system right now, which is exactly what you just said it wasn't. And talking about Teddy Bridgewater being a fit, I'm just going to sit back. You're right. I'm taking a shot on that one because
I'll
play devil's advocate
right there.
And listen, man, he is making so many enemies before he has even coached one snap of professional football. It's getting to the point where it's like, dude, either tell the truth or refuse to answer these stupid questions that you're asking. Because, listen, just say, yeah, we didn't think Cam Newton was going to be able to stay healthy because he wasn't able to do it the past 2 years in a row. Be honest about it. Say, hey, you don't think that Cam Newton is better, that he's not as good as Teddy Bridgewater, or that Teddy fits the system better. All of that is bullshit, by the way, and he knows it is too, and he knows that no one wants to hear that because he knows that he would be drug over hot coals if he said that we think Teddy Bridgewater is a better quarterback than Cam Newton, especially after he mentions everything that Cam Newton has done for the team, everything that Cam Newton has done for the community, been an MVP. Like, they gave up on Cam Newton. And fucking Matthew Stafford is still up there dicking around in Detroit, has never won a playoff game in his life. And now they want to justify that here in Carolina, Teddy Bridgewater is a better option. Like, Matt Rule didn't say a damn thing right there. He was walking over eggshells. Greg was 100% right on that. And that's what he's doing now. And in my opinion, it's spineless and it's pissing people like me off.
Where I'm with you. I think I'm with you in this way is what I don't understand. Wouldn't it be better why is he not a good fit? Like, it's kind of like this is that all of a sudden it's Teddy Bridgewater that gives us the best chance. He's shown he can be healthy. He's shown he can lead a team to a playoff. Were they scared that Cam wasn't close enough and they weren't willing to take a year in trying to figure it out? If that's the case, then we're not tanking, right? It's so odd, and I'm going to show this again, guys. I'm going to show it. You guys can't see it, but if you pulled up, I'm showing right now the video of Cam throwing with Odell Beckham Jr. And you look at his footwork, and I know this is not a game simulation, but he's making throws. He's not in a boot. He's not, if he was really hurt, he wouldn't be doing that.
I don't think it's ever been about injury. Like, I don't think him being cut was injury related. I really do think that if I'm being honest, I think that, yes, there is a bit of political aspect to what he's saying there, but I think he's not necessarily saying Cam's not a good fit. I just think they liked Teddy Bridgewater better, right? And I know that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know what that even fucking means, really. Like, how can you trust anybody? Like, it's kind of like this, is like when you see someone dip their steak in ketchup. can you really look at them the same way ever again?
Right.
Can you trust them in the same manner?
Well, they have a bullshit palate.
Yeah, and my thing about it too, it's just like what Cody was saying. Like, here's the thing: if you feel like Teddy Bridgewater's better, that's your opinion, and I get it. Everybody has their own opinion, and you know what? You may be right. I could be wrong. I don't believe that's the case, but at least be honest with me and tell me about that, because now it's a trust issue. Not that you care about me trusting you, but I am the fan base, and we do support the Carolina Panthers. And if the Carolina Panthers fans feel like they're being lied to and they're being cheated, it's not going to end up good for the franchise, period.
The interpretation I got from that video, yes, there is a lot of walking around, but again, that's what you have to do when you're a head coach of a football team in the NFL. You cannot answer those questions directly. If you do, you're going to get murdered one way or another. You're not going to be on anybody's good list. It's just the reality of the situation. But what I'm hearing when I hear that is it's not that he thinks that Teddy Bridgewater is better than Cam Newton either. I think that it was a matter of Teddy Bridgewater fits what he wants better. You know, he wants somebody who is going to be a leader, but not overtake the locker room with what Cam's charisma, right? I think he wants charisma, but not to that level. I think he wants to be able to have control of the locker room and also build his team the way he wants to build it, and so Cam Newton has been transitioning. He's definitely been a better quarterback, and I still loathe the fact that he's not a Carolina Panther, but I still will defend Rule here, because if that's the decision he came to, he had the stones to do it, knowing he was going to destroy the fan base trust. If you guys want to talk about stones, he released Cam Newton. That's stones right there.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily even that he made that decision, because again, he has never Cam's never been his quarterback before. It's a brand new regime. He's the head coach. They signed him to a 7-year deal. They're obviously giving him a lot of leeway to make decisions about the roster. My thing
this was his decision. This was Matt Rule's decision.
My thing is this: don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Like, yes, I'm with you, man.
Yeah, that's 100% what he's doing. And by the way, I even gotta say, man, like this. So shout out Joe Riolano in our chat room.
What's up, Joey?
He says, do you think Teddy fits the offense better than Cam Newton because he's more accurate? And again, that's a misnomer kind of in and of itself, because Teddy Bridgewater is a dink and dunk quarterback. They don't call plays for him to stretch the field. When you're throwing the ball down the field, historically, like Cam was having to do, your completion percentage numbers aren't going to be as high.
But that's not true either, though, because Cam didn't throw down the field for the last 2 in the years he had high completion rates. He wasn't throwing downfield, and I don't know if that's accurate with Teddy Bridgewater entirely. In college and early on in his career, he was chunking it downfield.
Well, so is Cam though. Early in his career in college.
Well, so one, when you had Ted King Jr., he was stretching the field. That 2014-15 season, especially at the end, the offense was running the football with Cam and Jonathan Stewart, and for a time D'Angelo, but maybe mainly just Cam and Jay Stu. And then that keeps all the linebackers and safeties down into the box, because you have to respect that run threat. And then they would take that opportunity to chunk the ball. And that's when you saw all those connections to Cam Newton and Ted Ginn and so on and so forth. It's also not a coincidence that in 2018, Cam Newton was having his highest completion percentage when he had a DJ Moore, when he had a Curtis Samuel, when he had a Christian McCaffrey, and he was dinking and dunking more, because at the time we were still wondering about that shoulder. He wasn't taking the deep shot much anymore. So I don't know, man. I just think that Cam has, at a time when our offensive weapons are better than they ever have been, that would have been a dream for Cam Newton. But they gave up on him too early and said, oh, he's dead on arrival. We gave up on it, man. I don't care what anyone says. The Carolina Panthers gave up on the player who has made them relevant for the past almost 10 years.
What concerns me when I see these videos of Cam standing on his right foot, throwing the ball back and forth, balancing, going out there, chunking at Odell Beckham, and the other one, which I haven't been able to pull up, where he's doing a one-arm push-up with his right arm, right, which is the one that some people say there's shoulder concerns. It just, to me, I'm worried that there might be a hint of ego involved with this decision, or maybe not ego, maybe it's ego, maybe it's like legacy or control of that legacy, and that makes me concerned if that's how if Matt Rule is making decisions, because I feel like on one hand he always says, I want the best athletes. They don't got to be the best players all the time, but like we want these athletes. It's like, well, that's Cam, right? Like, okay. And I wonder if he wanted like the Panthers' success going forward to be his success.
And Tony, that actually ties back into what CK was talking about earlier, which is what I wanted to bring up. And you were talking about the possibility of him, or reason why maybe he got rid of Cam was because he didn't want such a big personality. But I got to ask, of Rivera and Rule, just from what we know of them, who do you think is a more stern coach?
I think it's Rule.
Stern.
Yeah.
Well,
Rule,
I don't know. I don't know, because Rivera might just be old and boring.
Okay.
No, I think there are certain things, like you hear the music, but he folded on that. Rivera did. All of that, you saw Rivera let personalities live, right? And I'm not saying Rule's not going to let that happen, but you see the people that have left, right? The people that he cut, Eric Reed, Cam Newton, right? You have these big personalities that he's let go because they're too loud. I'm not saying that's the reason, but it's almost suspicious,
Well, yeah, and my only question about that is, I feel like Rivera was probably a more stern coach than Rule. I think Rule's kind of more of a newer age, younger, try to get along with his players, not going to be as stern. He may still put his foot down about things, but I think Rivera was, like you said, more of an old school type. This is how it is, period. It's why he wouldn't give players chances. That goes into a whole other thing. But I don't remember Cam ever being a threat or a problem, his personality with Rivera, as far as control of the team. I feel like Cam knew he was the leader on the field and leader of the team.
Him because he didn't dress one time.
Yeah, for one play. One series. And do you remember what happened to Derek Anderson threw a pick six?
Interception. Matt Moore.
All right, I'm folded. Yeah. But that's why I say, I think that Rivera isn't as stern as we think. I mean, I think he puts on this tough face, but everybody who has ever played for him say he is a player's coach.
Right.
He's a veteran's coach is what he is.
Yeah. Yeah. And this ties into what Tony's saying too. I don't think there was ever an issue with Cam being overshadowing Ron Rivera or feeling like he was the one in control. I think he knew his spot. I think Matt Rule may have came in feeling that way, and that you're right. Maybe that's why he got rid of some of the players he felt like were big leaders and big charismatic players. But guess what? You need those kind of guys.
I know. I'm with you, Greg.
You don't have Kuechly. You don't have Reed. You don't have Cam Newton. Yeah. I mean, you don't have all these players who were big locker room guys.
The Cam thing, it's just perplexing. And one of the things, if you go back and you listen to the old podcast when we were talking about Matt Rule being hired, is on the excitement side is the youth, the enthusiasm, the guy trying to make his career on one hand. But I kept saying the concern is despite your knowledge of football and how it works, part of the NFL game is just different in the way you interact with players who make this much money and are men, and I just wonder, are these signs of him making good decisions potentially, or being ahead of the curve, or is he already showing a little bit of that college culture?
Here's the funny part about it is every person that is in the media loves Rule all of a sudden, and they cut Cam Newton and they love Rule now.
Isn't that bizarre?
Everybody is giving saying this is a Jimmy Johnson vibe and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to see I don't think we're going to know for a while whether or not, because we're going to give them a mulligan this year if they just end up just wrecking things and not doing well. But if they do really well, we're going to be like,
I don't know if I'm ready to do that. I'm going to be holding him to and I don't know if it's winning that I necessarily need.
Yeah.
But I'm better see these decisions not blow up.
Yeah.
If you tell me, how are you going to feel?
15. Sorry, you don't want to go 1-15 and lose every game by 20 points.
What about this? What if what I don't want to happen and secretly kind of do is like Cam to go and be like super successful with the Steelers or the Patriots and Teddy Bridgewater get hurt in week 3. Because then we're gonna say this is that, well, it was Cam's health that they were, because it's time to move on. And this is what Panthers God FSU 23 says. Not saying he won't come back strong, but Rule and company wanted to move on. It's life. I'm just interested to see him what moving on to Teddy Bridgewater will be like. I'll be cheering for him, but you definitely expect this team to look more not unprepared. I am not. If this team comes out and looks like a shit show, we're all going to be up here going, man, I don't give a fuck who Matt Rule is.
We're going to obviously have our snap, but are you going to be calling for him to be fired? I mean, because we were already expecting the tank, right? I mean, and that's the reality. I mean, if he just completely if it doesn't look like
if he don't look like he knows what he's doing out there, I don't know if I could say that I wouldn't say that. But I don't think
there is almost no scenario where Matt Rule is fired.
No, I agree. I'm not saying
what I mean is there a scenario where you're calling for it, like Cody. I mean, next year, is there any scenario where you're saying we need to fire Matt Rule?
I mean, no. I mean, there's a scenario where I can see a bunch of tendencies that scare the shit out of me. Yeah, like making the wrong decisions. Just having terrible game plans. If it looks like the team is disorganized, yeah, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. But at the same time, it's and CK, you already mentioned it. It's kind of like for certain fans, and I'm definitely in that group. Like, I am more than happy with a mulligan year, just because, and it's because of the conversation that we're having right now. I don't believe that Teddy Bridgewater is the future of the Carolina Panthers, a quarterback that has never thrown over 14 touchdowns in the season in his entire career. Yeah. I don't just all of a sudden believe that he's the answer and he could do everything that Cam Newton couldn't do. Like, that's bullshit to me. Like, I that's not the quarterback that I want to ride my future on, especially when in next year's draft, there's at least 3 or 4 quarterbacks that I think are better long-term prospects than Teddy Bridgewater is. But I just don't have a lot of faith in them.
Panthers God FSU 23 said is really walking back his last comment where he said, I'm not saying he won't come back strong. Here's the next comment. Multiple surgeries on his throwing arm, him not being the same. Now he's older and can't run like he used to, et cetera, et cetera. It's sad, but it's facts. Not saying he can't come back in shock, which that actually means he can't come back. Like, he's past.
Yeah, but Ben Roethlisberger is hurt every single year. Let's make this a point. Cam Newton was hurt, 2 years in a row? 2017, 2018? Yeah. I mean, this is the same organization that saw Thomas Davis tear the same ACL, 3 times? And then Thomas Davis came back and had played some of the best football of his career. Yeah. Like, I mean, dude, it's like sometimes you throw out the baby with the bathwater, and I feel like that's what we did with Cam.
Let me ask
you. Go ahead.
I want to ask this question, and it's kind of a follow-up on CK's question. Is there any scenario, right, where you would say fire Matt Rule? And we're all with you. Is that nobody would believe that it would be legitimate to fire someone after a year unless there was some sort of signs that were just like crazy, right?
Yeah.
But what would be the most concerning thing to happen next season? What would be the biggest telltale warning sign, red flag to you that would even challenge the most optimistic nerve in your body about this guy? Like, what would happen? And I think I know what mine is. And mine is that if Matt Rule, which we continue to hear is like, look, and it's about the process. It's the process. This dude is better at coach speak than anybody. But and I do believe these things. Like, I mean, there's a reason it's coach speak, because you have to, like, that's what it is a lot of times. But we don't expect him to be, he goes from a 2-win team to an 8-win team to whatever. Whatever is, everybody says, look what he did in Temple. Look what he did in Baylor. For me, though, the one characteristic, though, that everybody's told me that Matt Rule is so wonderful about is being versatile, being able to adjust to the talent he has, to the players he has, recognizing their abilities, that sort of versatility. So the biggest thing, the giant red flag for me would be if he came in and they tried to do it too much their way to start. Or for throughout, if that was part of the problem, their way, kind of banging the square peg through the round hole all season, right, that would be a giant red flag for me. Because I want to see a guy that takes a roster, he might not win games with him, and a roster that's not as good as other teams, but they find ways to be in games. He's able to generate, like, you're seeing the guys believing in themselves. That's a versatility with me. If we don't see that, and it seems like everybody is demoralized after every game, it's like we've lost 8 in a row, and we're not seeing any signs of improvement or anything like that. That's when I'll be like, oh shit, this might not work.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of on par with you there, Tony. I think that it sounds kind of weird to say, but I think that if we have a season exactly like last year, then I'm going to be disappointed. And I know it sounds weird because if you win, like, I think I put it that we win 6 games. I think we're probably going to win close to 5, but I think we're going to be close to the exact same team. And while I don't think we were a bad team last year, it bothers me that we've gone through this entire makeover for nothing, to be the exact same team. I mean, and I know there's always room for growth, but there was room for growth with the team we had too. So it just feels like to me, with all these movements, you're either tanking and going for that number 1 pick, which I really hope they don't do, or you're trying to improve. And if you're not improving, then you're not. I mean, I don't want to move sideways. I want to move forward.
But I still think it's premature to say we're not improving. I mean, we've made a lot of moves. I mean, if you think about it, we went full defense in the draft, right? So we've addressed the most difficult part of our entire situation last year outside of quarterback. And then, we bring in Eli Apple, we bring in Robbie Anderson. I mean, we're signing people like, it's not in Teddy Bridgewater to a 3-year deal. All the cards point to this being an attempt to build the team up. And there are positives. I think the hard thing to do, especially in the current environment involving, and I'm not just trying to throw this out here, I just know my job. It's hard to look at the positives of things right now. It's really difficult to do that. But the positives are there. We've done a lot of movement to try to make this team better than it was last year. And I think there's evidence that we did. Now, when you start thinking about Cam Newton versus Teddy Bridgewater, then there's a discussion to be had there. But until we actually see what Teddy Bridgewater can do in a brand new offense, I don't think right now, and I'm the biggest one that was not happy with Cam Newton being gone. But I think it's unfair for Teddy Bridgewater to be given the short hand of the, short stick, whatever you want to call it, because of something that he hasn't even been able to prove, right? And everybody wants to talk about the dink and dunk, and I've been reading articles, and I was the same way, but there's a lot of evidence pointing to. Now, granted, it was a very small sample size last year, but if he would have kept the pace that he had with the Saints, he would have been the number 1 completion with deep balls in the NFL on a very small sample size, to be fair, but he would have been the number 1 as far as completion percentage on deep balls beyond 30 yards last year.
So to answer Tony's question, and shout out to Tree50 who dropped 350 in the chat. What's up, fellas? Like and sub. Thank you, man. But to answer Tony's question, the thing that really would cause me concern is if our defense shows no signs of life, even after adding so many different talented young players to the team over the course of the offseason. I mean, I'm halfway expecting our offensive line to almost get Teddy Bridgewater killed. But what I'm not expecting is our defense to be lackluster. I think when you add pieces like Derek Brown, you add Jeremy. I mean, you add all these fast players, these athletic, explosive guys. They may not be gangbusters to start, but I expect them to at least be formidable. I do think that we should be up there in the sacks department if we're able to generate some good pressure in the middle.
Because if we're not, we'll be up there in the sucks department. Oh,
and that's another thing, man. Like, dude, I'm not gonna lie, man. I've been through 2 bad seasons of Panthers football. It's like there's only so many different ways that this can go. Either we're going to be more disappointing than last year, which is kind of hard to do, or we're going to be absolutely terrible, second guessing everything that we thought we'd do about Matt Rule, but also we're going to be in the running for a brand new franchise.
Do you think we will be? There's a way that we could be. I don't even know if it's possible that we could be disappointed.
Yeah, I honestly, that's why, if I'm being honest, that's the only reason I'm excited about this season is that there's low expectations, right? We kind of have this, I don't know, for me, being able to watch a game with not expecting to win, right? If we win, it's that much better, right? It's so much better if that were to be a win. So I think, so for instance, 2015, we were the entire time on edge of our seats every game. Is this going to be the game? This is going to be the game. Oh gosh, the shoe's going to drop here. And then when we
talk about the best year for a podcast ever.
Yeah.
We had much fun.
Yeah. Oh, I'm certain. But here's what I'll say is that loss to Atlanta in week 14, honestly, it couldn't have happened. That couldn't have been a better thing for me. Because my anxiety was so high every single week to finally get that monkey off my back. I was just like, all right, I'm good now. Let's get this thing rolling. Obviously, would not have liked to have it end the way that it did, as we all can imagine and agree upon. But, same thing. When you have high expectations, it's just really hard to watch games because you're like, am I going to be just so disappointed? But when you have low expectations, you're just like, hey, there's no reason not to watch it at this point.
But there is one negative to that, and that is when it turns out to be sucky. Guess what you don't want to do anymore?
Watch.
Yeah.
And can I point out, too, there's a fine line between disappointing and low expectations.
Yeah.
If my daughter gets accepted to take pre-cal early, like freshman year, and she goes in and she gets a C+, the expectations are different than being totally disappointed. I expect her to not maybe flourish in that or do whatever, but if she fails and flunks out, then that's a disappointment. So there are fine lines. You're right. I mean, there aren't a whole lot of goals he has to hit this year, but he does have to do some things right.
Well, and the reason I think there's a mulligan, and that's why I say this. I mean, that's why I think he's making the moves he is right now he's throwing noodles against the wall and hoping something sticks, right?
Yeah.
And so why I say that is if it is just he looks incompetent, everybody's going to say, well, this is him just honestly throwing the season. Even if he looks incompetent, he's going to be this. I mean, this is what he needed to do to make sure that we've got the number 1 draft pick, right? So he's going to get a mulligan there. Okay, he's doing what he's building the future. He's not just incompetent. He's building the future. He's looking incompetent, but he's not incompetent. But if he's actually coming out and looking competent and actually doing it, we're like, all right, so we're just needing to build up. Maybe we are throwing it out, but let's just get some different talent on the team. But he looks like he's doing a good job, right? And then the other alternative is we look like we're competent and we're doing well as a team. And so either way, any of those scenarios, he's got a mulligan. He's either going to be a hero who's just built a team out of nothing after releasing some, one of the generational talent and quarterback, or he's going to look like somebody who's just playing for the future quarterback.
Yeah, man, I don't think you can put it better than that.
Can I highlight that comment in the chat room from Twins Dad 10? The Panthers have really tested my ability to be a fan. I'm still not sure how I feel about this team. And man, I can't lie. I feel like I've heard a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that. Because of the actions that the Panthers have taken. But to continue upon this, disappointing versus expectations thing. Like, honestly, and I feel like I'm not alone in this. I'm more disappointed if we go 6-10, 7-9, 8-8 than I am if we go 4-13.
Right. No improvement.
Yeah, dude. So it's like what I don't want to do is have Teddy Bridgewater show just enough for people to think, okay, yeah, we just need to build a little bit more around Teddy. And then we're basically in a situation where it's like he's Kirk Cousins, and we're just hoping that he turns into this transformative player that uplifts our football team and takes us all the way there. And it doesn't happen. And then all the other transformative quarterbacks get drafted to another team. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we're in for a shitty season, let it just be terrible, because Matt Rule always starts terrible. Go back and look at Temple. Go back and look at Baylor. He always starts terrible. So I don't know. Maybe we're having a completely different conversation.
Yeah,
maybe we're having a completely different conversation in a year's time. If he pulls off some masterclass shit, rebuilds the roster in 2 years, and makes us a contender, and we get a quarterback.
There is a chance if we're bad next year, that still doesn't happen. I want to see. All right, how about this? What is the thing we talked about what you didn't want to see, or what you saw that would raise the greatest red flag? What would you see next year that would give you the most optimism about the coaching staff? Not about I don't want to talk about obviously winning 14 games or winning 8 games. Those are things that would automatically make you optimistic. For me, I've heard that he's they outwork teams. Right? Is like that's his staff outworks. And one of the problems I felt with Ron Rivera is that our game plan, not even just the game plan, is like how lazy. It just felt about us. And it's like kind of the rut I get in this podcast sometimes is that we're so insulated to the Carolina Panthers world. We don't look outside enough. And I almost felt like Ron Rivera was like, well, I can only control my team, so we're just going to work on what we have. And it seems like we've heard that these guys prepare and kind of brainiac so much that I hope we get to see that and kind of how it manifests against how we are able to take advantage of other people's weaknesses on defense or vice versa. If Julio's going out there and throwing up 300 against us, I'm going to be like, well, where's your exogenous heel?
Yeah. I kind of echo a little bit of the same thing. I want to see us win matchups. I want to see us win some of those games that are, on the line, that come down to the last minute, the cardiac cats. I don't want to see the team give up. So if we're getting our ass kicked, I want them to still go out there and fight like it's only a 3-point game. And if we lose a whole bunch of games, but we still fought our ass off and did some damage on defense and we're able to move the ball, but then in my opinion, you're seeing things that you can build upon. And especially with Joe Brady now as our offensive coordinator, seeing what he's able to do with those kinds of weapons. Like, let's take Teddy Bridgewater out of the equation for a minute. If Teddy is terrible or if he's incredible, we're going to be able to see what Joe Brady is going to do, what plays he's going to call with those receivers and Christian against a whole bunch of different kinds of defenses, and seeing how he adjusts to that and what they're going to do in situational football. I'm just wanting to see good, small decisions being made that leads to a resilient, tough football team.
Yeah. I want to see, and this goes back to what Tony was saying earlier, I want to see adjustments. That was one thing we complained about with Ron Rivera all the time, not making adjustments. If we're getting beat, if we're playing the Falcons, and I'm just going to keep saying Julio because we said it a couple times, and Julio has 115 yards and a touchdown at halftime, I don't want to see him come out and get 125 yards in the second half.
Because that is a Ron Rivera team right there.
Right. If we double team him and then their running back ends up running for 75 yards, okay, we got beat. but I don't want to see that guy beat me when he just showed me his hand in the first half and we didn't make any adjustments. That's what I want to see.
I agree with you entirely, but also one other thing I would like to see, and again with Ron Rivera, I don't know if this was as apparent at times. Like, we don't even want to have to keep saying Julio. Yeah. Right? It's like, that's the point, is we don't need to adjust to Julio at halftime when we knew his ass was Julio in the first half. And we and people praise Bill Belichick so much. And what does Bill Belichick always do? He takes away your best thing. Mm-hmm. That's like, or at least that's what I've heard people describe him say. Is that, and so I like that adjustment, because it didn't seem we had that capability a lot of times, or, you know, I don't even really know how they do it. I don't know how they walk in there in 15 minutes, come out a different team, you know, but somehow it does something. And I do agree with that. But also, I don't feel like we were out game planning cats.
No.
Even on defense, Ron Rivera was like, you punch those fuckers right in the face. And it was it.
And can I make a prediction? If we win games, I think it's going to be later in the season. So it'll be even more frustrating. So what's going to happen is, so actually, let me start off by highlighting this comment in the chat, because it kind of builds on my point. Fear the Four says, if this young defense gets it right off the bat, it's possible we can get a wild card because offense has weapons. But this is the main point, though. But with COVID-19 taking away all the camps for the rookies to learn, it's going to be tough. And this is what I'll say. If this Carolina Panthers team was going into the season and it was just any other kind of year, so we had OTAs and off-season mini camp and all that other good shit, I would feel a little bit better. But the fact that we have a brand new offensive coordinator, we have a brand new defensive coordinator, we have a brand new head coach, we have an entirely new defense filled with young players, a brand new quarterback in that new offensive system. That's a lot of stuff to get right when you don't even have the time.
A new staff that's never even run a training camp. Now they got to run a training camp that ain't a training camp.
Right. Like, that's why it goes back to those expectations. How much are you actually expecting?
None.
Yeah.
It's the best year to have this. It's the best year for the Panthers to have this garbage. But the other thing is, historically, if Joe Riolano is still in the chat, I feel like, and he's always said this, is that defenses are ahead of offenses early in the season.
Yeah, say it one more time.
That defenses are ahead of offenses early in the season. So coming out of week one, they have the advantage because offenses have to, it takes long, you know, it's a chemistry thing. They're installing new things as they go along. Defenses typically have the advantage in those early weeks. Like, so if its offense isn't clicking in week 2, you would be foolish or naive to just say that ain't going to work. That's what I'm saying, right? Is that, now I'm not saying defenses don't get better throughout the season, but it does seem like they're like, if you didn't have a play to run, the defense has the advantage, right? If it's just me versus you. So that would be something to consider. Not only, you know, so our young defense, though, might have an advantage, but they don't have an advantage because they have no experience.
Yeah.
It's the most bizarre. This is a bizarre. It's like we're in the twilight zone of football.
But then at the same time, man, and you said it just now, it's like you really couldn't pick a better year to have all this shit happen to you, though. I mean, if it's going to be this year, you know,
like, revenues are going to be down no matter what. Ticket sales are going to be down no matter what. We might not even start on time. So if there is, like, even the best teams are going to have trouble filling the stadiums, probably.
Yeah. Panthers got FSU said if these coaches can coach, Panthers are going to be really good. I think if these coaches might be able to coach and the Panthers could still have a bad season. I mean, you know, I don't think that there's any of us here that are going to be willing to completely write off our coaching staff if we have a terrible year this year.
No, we won't. We'll bitch. Yeah, we will bitch. I will bitch the whole time about them. But no, I think that you got to give everybody 3 years at the minimum. I think it would be wise to give somebody a 4th year, but depending on who your players are at that time, what your window looks like, I can understand getting after year 3 starting to get itchy. Right. All right, let's go on to this. Let's go on and get into the cat calls and see what you guys got to say about what's going on. Oh, wait, this ain't the wrong. This is the wrong file, yo. So, here, while I pull up the right file, guess what the headline in Panthers.com is? Chase Blackburn explains why the Panthers are well positioned at kicker. Ugh, makes me want to vomit.
That's saying a whole lot of nothing.
That makes me want to vomit, though, is not only are we are well positioned, I guess, because we have 2 kickers that we hate, and I like Sly.
It's not even cut Graham Gano.
No.
I feel like for whatever reason, I had this in my mind that we've cut him like
why? Yeah, I thought he was mad at the team with that injured reserve crap. Yeah. But still, who do you guys like better? I'm on the Sly train.
I'm Sly all the way, dude. Like, he's got more personality, I think, and that leg is just a monster. It's a missile, bro.
I don't know, man, because it's really like Joey Sly wasn't that much better than Graham Gano last year. I mean, he has a bigger leg, but dude, he missed a lot of gimmies. He really did miss a lot of gimmies.
Yeah, but he hit a lot of things that not many people. He had a really high percentage from the far away mark.
But wasn't it you that was telling me that it was Pat McAfee or something saying that a lot of times if you're a kicker and you got
power, you're less accurate, but you can kick that ball so far. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a give and take, you know. Yeah.
But to be fair, the part of it that I think is interesting is he's more accurate the farther back he is. It's so interesting to see that dynamic and understanding why. Like, it's almost like he knows that if he could put all of his
Graham Gano's missed his share of gimmies.
Yeah. But that's the part of it that I think we also got to remember. Graham Gano has been hurt multiple times over the past couple of years as well. So if we're going to treat Cam the way we've treated Cam, I mean, I think Graham Gano, when you're talking about having surgery on the kicking knee as well, I mean, you got to have a question about that, you know?
All right. Cody, who do you want? Me and CK want Sly. Who do you want?
Dude, I feel like I'm choosing between dog food and cat food. I don't know. I guess I'll just say Sly, man.
Sly has a bigger upside.
Yeah, Sly has a bigger upside. We've seen Gano for a bunch of years and missed some of the big shots.
If I hear, I guarantee, I can't believe no one in the chat yet has not typed in 63-yarder versus the Giants. Ugh. I hated Graham Gano before that crap. After that crap, I've been consistent. I don't like no Graham Gano.
Joey Escobar says, Cody, you can kick the ball farther than Gano.
Oh, that's a lie. That's such a
hey, man.
He kicked a 63-yarder, dude. He kicked a 63-yarder. So we give him credit for. All right, here's the cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098. Sub up to the podcast. Give us a thumbs up. Jump on the cat calls line. One more time. 252-228-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, I kick piss missiles.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like. Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
What's going on, C3 Nation? This your boy Jay Anderson, just hollering at y'all. Man,
what's up, Jay?
Hope y'all being safe. Hope y'all families are being safe and everything. First thing I want to get off is I'm glad that statue is gone. I'm glad Jerry Richardson's statue is gone. I know everybody's gonna say, you know, he brought the team to the Carolina area, and that's cool. But he did some bad things, so off he go. You know, bye-bye, we in a new, you know, we got a new owner and everything. You know, I know that statue was creepy anyway. I didn't want my homegirl to be walking beside it. She on tight jeans, I don't know. You know, some kind of
inside thing. Don't know what type of voodoo that guy's got in there.
But yeah. Other than that, I want to get you. I want to ask y'all something. Like, top out of the whole decade from 2010 to 2019, what top 5 games that you've seen through that whole decade? All right, I'll holler at y'all. Y'all be easy.
Dude, that's tough.
All right,
I can tell you my number one right now.
Are we talking Panthers games or just all games in general?
I think he probably means Panthers games, or we should at least
he meant Panthers game.
I know my number one right now, but I gotta have to think about the other ones. My number one's got to be the Seattle playoff game, in 2015.
I think my number one is. That was so good, but I think my number one is that NFC Championship game against the Cardinals.
Okay.
Yeah, just when Cam goes over the top. You know, another really underrated one, even though it ended in a tie, was in 2014, the Panthers and the Bengals. That was when Vontaze Burfict tried to twist off Cam Newton's ankle.
Oh god,
dude, that was a back and forth game. I remember watching that.
I got one more. Look at the 17-point fourth quarter comeback in Philly. What was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2017.
That was a great game.
2018, I think.
The Monday night Colts game was a great game. The win to overtime. I was at that game. That was a great game. Oh my gosh, that was a great game. Golly, this is tough. Cam Newton's opening game, even though he lost. Man, that was a fun game to watch. He had, 3 touchdowns, 400 yards? 400 plus yards. I mean, that was a great game to watch a long time ago.
Again, obviously 2015 had so many great memories, but I remember when Panthers, we went to the Superdome to play New Orleans, and man, that was just a shootout. And it came down to a big third down play, and Greg Olsen had to come up with the clutch catch, grabbing the football before it hit the ground. Converted the third down. We made the drive, and we ended up winning to I think go on to 13-0. It was at that point in time, and it was just a shootout, man. Cam would answer, then Drew Brees would answer. There's been so many of them.
That New Orleans game, that second New Orleans game. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's not like I've been thinking. No, I've been thinking the whole time. I've been trying to gather some games. Number one, agreed. NFC Championship game, I was there. Right, so that's my top. You know what I mean? That's the pinnacle of what I've been at to a game. Number two, this is a strange one. Most people won't probably agree with this. But it was 2017 when we had another good run with Cam, and we went on the road and decimated. Remember he had 5 touchdowns against New England or something? He either had 5 touchdowns against Detroit, but we went on the road and beat New England's ass. That was a very rewarding feeling, because nobody does it in Foxborough, and we beat that tail. Number 3 is Saints 2013, Saints at Panthers in the Rain Bowl, where it rained and it rained and it rained. And Ron Rivera punted the ball on fourth and 12. I think it was 4th and 12. Yeah. On our own 30. And there was it was 2 minutes and 3 seconds, or it might even been under 2 minutes to play. Because you thought, man, we're punting the ball. We're going to lose this damn game. And Cam and them, we get a stop on defense. We get the ball right back. And Cam leads the team down, and he threw a touchdown to Hakeem Nicks. Is that the right name? Does that sound right?
Oh, he played for us. That was North Carolina boy, too. He played for UNC.
Yeah, it was him. Threw a touchdown to him at the end. So that's number 3. Number 4 is Seahawks in their house. And was that 2015 we did?
2015. It was the first time. I think we were 7-0 by that point or something like that.
When we beat,
and everybody was still saying we were, I remember the headlines we're the worst 7-0 team in the history of the NFL. Is basically what all the headlines were saying. Are the Panthers the worst ever 7-0 team in the history of the NFL? And I remember that there were a lot of articles about Ted Ginn's drops and everything. So this was that in Seahawks territory was the game where things were starting to shift back to the Panthers, maybe being better than people thought.
Was that the Greg Olsen catch game where he called the game winning touchdown?
Oh, yes, that was fantastic.
Shout out to Joey the Blind Panther, mentioned a good one. That Patriots game where the
Monday night
where they
picked the flag up.
Panthers hold on with the headline.
Into town. And I think that's when Cam really turned into a superstar that night. Because dude, there was this one play where they blitzed the hell out of him, and he's just
ducking the whole team. The whole team.
Yeah, and peels off and takes off down the field.
He ran a total of 70 yards after that because they did that next gen stat and they were tracking his runs because he was just dodging people and everything. Even though he didn't necessarily go down the field 70 yards, the amount of yards he ran was 70 yards. It was insane.
This was a good call because it gets me because I can keep going after 5.
Yeah.
But here's my number 5. And my number 5, I think this was 2015 as well. And we beat the Falcons 38-3 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we just beat the living shit out of it. That was just like the most fun. I could go back to games before Cam too, but like his rookie year, though, like you said, that first game, that Arizona game, I think is noteworthy there. Such a tough ending. Yeah. We lost that game where we shouldn't have. Patrick Peterson ran back a punt. There's some. There's a lot of good ones. How about here's one that you guys wouldn't even. Was it 2017? Do you remember when we beat the Ravens and they went for it on 4th down or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up coming back and blanking them. Like they beat our asses for 2 quarters or something. And then we came back. That's fun. 2017 was a more fun year than people give it credit for. Cam threw 5 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns against Detroit on the road that year or something like that.
It's tough because we just didn't win the division, so people don't remember it that much. But, we were 1 play away from winning that game against the Saints.
Yeah.
What was the game where I don't remember if the game was necessarily great, but I do remember this play where they're on like the 15-yard line, and I can't remember what defensive player. I keep wanting to say AJ Hawk, but it wasn't him, I don't think. Where he's calling Cam out, talking about, it's this.
Oh, yeah, he said, did you watch that on film?
Yeah, I watched it on film. Cam was like, I watched tape too, and then he called the audible. That was man, that's an awesome.
There was one.
No, who was that? That was the white dude for the.
I keep wanting to say AJ Hawk, but it's not him.
No,
I think
the long hair blonde dude.
That's AJ Hawk.
No, it's not. AJ Hawk is AJ Hawk.
AJ Hawk is AJ Hawk.
What's his name, dude? No, the long hair blonde dude, Matthew. So
I don't know.
Oh, Jake. I know who you're talking about. I know Clay Matthews, David Williams guy.
That's right.
I knew it, dude. Yeah.
You're right. AJ Hawk was Clay Matthews before Clay Matthews was Clay Matthews.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody just has AJ Hawk on the brain because he has a show with Pat McAfee now.
Yeah, AJ Hawk. Yeah.
Is he with Pat McAfee now?
McAfee and Hawk. Yeah, they do. They do like a 1:00 show on YouTube.
Okay. Is that any good?
Yeah.
They have an insight that obviously not many people have, and they're willing to talk about it. So I think it's interesting if you're interested in getting the insight about what the locker room looks like and what players experience and what their opinions are about certain circumstances. It is. The problem is that you could definitely tell they shift their opinions with the masses.
Okay. The other question I have for you is: anybody asked AJ Hawk about getting in bed with his sister? Was it his sister? No, he didn't do it. But you remember, like when he played for Alabama, or it wasn't. It was they showed either his. I think it was his sister in the championship game, and she was engaged to like a quarterback in the NFL at the time. And do you remember Brent Musburger was like, she is something delicious to look at, and we were on.
No.
It's good. It's good. Oh, you got to go back and watch that mess. It's like, is it Brent Musburger, or is it the guy that's with the LA Raiders now who always does like, he says some bizarre ass shit in the color commentary. I was wondering, is there any other game that has stuck out to me? I'll tell you one game that I remember that I'm so pissed that was like 34 seconds late getting into my seat. Pretty sure it was a Tampa game, and it might have been around 2015 or something. And we got in there. We had trouble getting in the gate. I don't know why we were not in our seat. And like the second play of the game, Cam popped off a 77-yard run or something. And we're we're walking up the steps, and that place is just erupting. I'm so pissed about that. Oh my God. All right, guys, let's go on to the next cat call. That was a fun call. Thank you for taking us out of our depression.
So what are your thoughts on cat calling?
That is like the cat calls.
And how did that make
cat call number 2, I hope.
Panthers podcast, how y'all doing?
Yeah, what's up, G?
What's up, G?
Everybody is keeping safe during this coronavirus bullshit and this other shit, the other war that's going on between black and white, which is so damn stupid to me. Like I said before, I've been black a long time. I've been black 42 years. So y'all just please keep safe and love everybody. Now, the reason why I called is I really, this is my opinion, I really see Brian Burns doing some damage this year. I really do. Last year, he could have had more sacks. But, Ron Rivera and that coaching staff, they played him when they wanted to play him. And I know that he fucked up his damn fucked up his damn hand by punching the damn field. You can't do that shit no more, Brian. You can't. But I really do see this dude getting at least 10 sacks. I really do, man. And I really truly believe, man, that we're going to make the damn wild card spot. No, we're not going to go 16-0 or 15-1. We're saying we're not. But I think Coach Tep doing what he's due, and Phil Snow, man, I keep saying Phil Snow, I really believe, man, he got to turn his defense around, man. I say we're going to be in the top 5 this year. I really do, man. I really do, man. But getting back to Brian Burns, I see this dude getting 10, the most 12 sacks this year. I really do see this shit, man, because we got, the other young man we picked up from Penn State on the other defensive end.
Roast Matos.
We still got that dude from Minnesota we picked up or whatever. And we got Derek Brown and KK coming back in the middle. Oh my God, man, that's the defensive front four for your ass, man. Like for real. And I believe they put enough pressure. The defensive backs, they can catch a break a little bit because they're young as shit. But I really truly believe that we're gonna cause some havoc this year. So give me your take on that. You think Brian Burns gonna get at least 10 sacks this year? And on cherry on top, do you see us making a wild card spot? Because I really do. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Great call. Did you all see that video that came out just recently of Brian Burns working out, running routes?
No.
He was playing DB, running mirror routes and shit. Yeah,
he's a freak, dude. He's a freak.
Good, fast, agile. Yeah, man.
Yeah. As far as G's talking about, though, yeah, I definitely think he can get 10 sacks next year. I do think that our defensive line is looking really nasty for next year. I don't know about a wild card. I think that we can win 5 or 6 games, but I don't know about a wild card. But, we could have won 9 games last year if the chips fell our way. So, I mean, it all just depends on what's going to happen. I think we have a better defense than last year. I don't know about the offense yet, but we'll see what happens.
Man, we thought we had a good defense last year to start.
It's true.
He had 7.5 sacks last year.
Yeah, you can definitely get 10 this year.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
He played like 7. He played like 9 snaps.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the Curtis Samuel of defense.
He had some crazy pressure rate. Hey, don't start no shit with me, pal. I stand Curtis Samuel.
I was wondering if I was going to say anything. I was like,
you know he was. Good Lord, he can't help it. Y'all got a hard. You know what is funny?
You can't help it either because I'm going to respond.
I used to have a hard on for Curtis Samuel before all of this, and then everybody started jumping on my train, and then, please God, I would say this is that I wonder it'll be interesting to see what our receiving core does this year. And because of that is that, wow, I feel like we're small. Somebody wrote this on Twitter today. I thought this was a strange and interesting tweet. Like, it kind of like I just thought about it for a little while. And it was kind of like, that comment earlier in the comment section where it was like, the Panthers are really testing my fandom type thing.
Yeah.
And they said, years ago, I could have told you almost every single player on the roster. And this Panthers team, I can't do that. So I was like, all right. I mean, I've heard something like that. And then the next line was the one that just kind of sent me into a mind melt. And they were like, and then the person said, I forgot that Pharaoh Cooper was on this team. And I was like, what? Like, he won't be on the team next year, probably, or this year by the time it's over. I thought that was a bizarre thing. But even if you think of that, like, that's the exciting player. Guess how big he is? 4'8". Like, we got a team of Demir. We got a team of Demir Birds.
4'8".
Demir Bird needs to be a Panther again for this moment. It's the only group of people that could appreciate him. We have to be so small. Robbie Anderson is our biggest receiver.
Well, we went big for a few years, and it didn't work. So I guess the answer to that is go the exact opposite. I mean,
I don't know. They all look like Curtis Samuel to me. No. DJ Moore is probably our stoutest one.
I don't know. It may work.
Do you think the Cam haters will turn on Robbie Anderson because his Twitter is unintelligible?
I don't think Cam has anything to do with it. Will have anything to do with it. I think
like his haters, like they don't have the Cam outlet anymore. Robbie Anderson's tweets are so tough to read.
I don't think I've seen any of them. To be honest,
I don't think I have either.
Go look at it. Go look at. Just pull up his while we go to this next call. Just pull up Robbie Anderson's Twitter. And I don't follow these guys like a lot of other people, so maybe I just saw a couple, but it's rough.
Hey guys, it's Joey the Blind Panther, and
Joey,
y'all were talking about Matt Rule and what's gonna happen if we suck next year. We're gonna be getting pissed at Matt Rule for getting rid of Cam. I don't really think it's in anyone's best interest for us to suck next year. Because if we suck next year, obviously the fans aren't going to be happy, but, that's been the case since 2018. 2018, we were really sad. 2019, we just got our expectations slaughtered. And, it's not going to be in Rule's best interest to tank because he needs to look good. This is his first year and he doesn't want to, I don't think he's going to want to come in the NFL and bomb. Tepper, he needs to look good because he said we're not going to accept mediocrity. And then he signed Matt Rule to a shit ton of money. That's obviously his. He owns the team. So I don't think it's going to look good for anyone involved to be tanking. Even if you do get Trevor Lawrence out of it or whoever you want out of it. But, hey, Tony, I was in Tarboro this past weekend visiting my girl. And we were kind of close to Greenville and thinking about going. But anyway, wow. Keep pounding.
Dude, you should. Come to Greenville, man. Tarbo's only like 25 minutes down the road. Also, where Todd Gurley played college football. I don't know. I'm about to mute. Who was it? Oh, let's just see this. I'm about to mute somebody. I'm muting. Who is it? Who is this talking about? Somebody had some Demir Bird slander in the chat. It looks like maybe did they delete it? Who was this? He said that he said something to Tommy Doc Martin said this. Tommy, you about to get muted. I'm about to put you in timeout. Cooper will pick up the last wide receiver spot better than Bird ever was. Crazy, homie. Dude, this guy, I don't know what Cooper is, but he ain't better than Bird yet. Damiere Byrd, slayed.
Why are you allowed to heap praises on Damiere Byrd, who had one famous catch with his ass in the end zone?
He had
give me shit about Curtis Samuel.
Well, first of all, Damiere Byrd's a walk-on. A.
Yeah.
B is that he is the what you guys say about Curtis Samuel. He's the same thing. He's the same thing.
No.
It's like when he gets the ball, he's scoring. Yes.
Not
the same player. Not the same player. What I'm saying is this: is that we all say this is like, man, Curtis Samuel had 5 touchdowns on 6 targets. That's Damiere Byrd.
What I think of is we had the worst quarterback completion rating of passes beyond 20 yards last year of anybody in the league, and Curtis Samuel's forte is deep passes. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
yeah.
Let me just
guess what Damiere Byrd's forte is.
Yeah, let me settle
deep passes.
Damiere Byrd and Pharaoh Cooper stats wise. Damiere Byrd's been in the league 4 years with 488 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pharaoh Cooper's been in the league 6 years with 433 yards and 1 touchdown. So no, Pharaoh Cooper is not a better wide receiver than Damiere Byrd is.
Amen. And you ain't even talked about my man Damiere Byrd just crushing kickoffs, homie.
Yeah.
I was at a game where Damiere Byrd had 3 touchdowns in a single game. It was awesome.
That was his game.
It was his game. It was the butt game.
And only game that he ever did.
And you know what? He has 3 career touchdowns, so all 3 of them were in that one game.
No, one was a special teams touchdown. 2. He had 2 special teams in the butt. This dude, look, as he comes back, look, he says this. As somebody else said something, Tony will be woken, my friend, to a lot more to learn about in this roster. All right, okay, here, wake me up, because this woke Panthers got FSU. Kirkwood, 6'3". Who is he? Anybody know?
He's probably a Baylor Temper player.
Never heard of him. 6'2". Roberts will be part of the plan with the receivers. Dude, these guys ain't gonna do shit. And if they do, it will be the most pleasant surprise ever. How many times did I get people shit on me the whole time? I was like, we had Damiere Byrd on the podcast twice, man. I was like, Damiere Byrd's go fuck you up, fuck you up. We've latched on to nobody names every freaking year.
Every year. Yeah.
And you're lucky Damiere Byrd was the one we latched on to twice, because he was actually almost good. But there was a bunch of old receiver, like we'd be like, this guy's a big receiver. He's gonna come in. Nope. He didn't do shit. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe this new staff will be able. That's where we'll be excited. Is can he take those guys, and will they have confidence in them? So how about this? Maybe I'm premature in saying like, hey, they ain't gonna do shit, because I'm jaded by the Ron Rivera, it don't matter how good they are, they ain't gonna play type mentality. You know, it's like, we're gonna go with these 3 guys, and that's just what we do, even if so. I don't know. All right, next call.
Hey everybody, this is Anthony Rochelle. I have no news about anything on Cam Newton, but I am more focusing on just the potential, hopefully, of what the Panthers could bring with this roster.
Kirkwood, write his name down. 6'3".
Maybe Cam Newton will be on a different team. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Time will tell. But I'm mostly focusing on the future for the Panthers organization. So, hope you guys are having a great day. Go Panthers. Keep pounding. 2020. Here we come.
Hey, real quick, I do want to point out, I was just making a joke about it, but Kirkwood is a Neptune City, New Jersey native that played at Temple for 3 seasons.
Yes.
So there you go.
You're right.
So there you go.
Don't you love it?
What was it? I had another. I was thinking about this too, and I'm the only guy that can drag this show on any longer. Is you know what I'd be disappointed? So we asked this question earlier: is what would be the one thing that was the red flag with the coach? What's the one thing that would be the positive marker you're looking at? What about with the rookie class? For me, the one thing that would scare me is if this Jeremy Shin dude isn't all that in a bag of Doritos. Like, that's going to make this draft for me. That player. Like, if he turns out, like, I think that will be enough for me to be like, this class is cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? But if he isn't a contributor next year, is fucking up, I'm going to be like, man, I don't know. That's the one guy I need to be really good, Cody.
I mean, Jeremy Chan is, we've all said that he's the player that made us feel better about us not drafting Isaiah Simmons. He kind of, he was a light version of that and could do some similar things. For me, I'm going to be more disappointed if Derek Brown doesn't have a good season, just because I don't think his job is going to be too involved. Like, just be the big badass in the middle, dude. That's all you have to do. And he was so good stopping the run last year for Auburn. And part of the reason why you draft him is to get better at stopping the run. And I think when you put him next to Kevon Short, that has a potential to be a really good run-stopping front. So if it doesn't turn out that way, I'd be a little disappointed, because even though he wasn't my number one defensive tackle on the board, he was, by far one of the best run stuffers. And that's why you would draft him.
How in the world has Pharaoh Cooper been to a Pro Bowl?
It has to be special teams.
Special teams. He's incredible as far as he had a really good. I don't know if it's just 1 year or multiple years as a punt returner. That's his role on the team. It's not going to be about wide receiver. It's going to be punt return.
And I'll give him that, but I'm not arguing that Damiere Byrd's a better punt returner than Pharaoh Cooper. I'm arguing Damiere Byrd's a better wide receiver than Pharaoh Cooper, because he is a better receiver. He has a better average over less time with more catches and more touchdowns. There's no argument you can make that Damiere Byrd's not a better wide receiver than Pharaoh Cooper. Now, punt returns, that may be a different game. I'll give you that. But
we're set on wide receiver. I mean, Pharaoh Cooper is going to see the field maybe 5 times. In the entire season, as far as a wide receiver, he is going to be on the field as a punt return specialist or a kick return specialist or whatnot. So, I mean, honestly, my interest in comparing him and Damiere Byrd are pretty similar, because Damiere Byrd was considered more of a special teams player as well. But
Byrd was just fragile, man. Pharaoh Cooper is 208 pounds. Okay. So that's a good thing. And I will tell you this, is I will jump up and down if Pharaoh Cooper can solve our damn kickoff and punt return problems. Because we have been shit on that forever. Even Damiere Byrd, he just did it a couple of times. It was exciting. The last time we were good on punts and kickoffs was the first term with Ted Ginn. That's it.
Yeah.
We had to put
whenever he was young.
Yeah, but I'm talking the last time. We went through a stint where it was just bad back there, where they were losing us games. And then we went through a stint on the second Ted Ginn where he didn't lose us games. He was just not the same he was. We just haven't had a guy that's been positive difference maker. Even who was doing it last who was doing it last year that was okay for a little bit? Didn't we bring in somebody?
We brought in
the XFL or not XFL, the AF or something.
Britton Burson, right?
No, that was last year. Gosh, who was it last year? It was he kept on fumbling too, so we ended up cutting him. It was
Clay. That was a couple of years.
That was the year before.
It don't matter. They all suck. We need Pharaoh Cooper to not suck at special teams. I don't care if he catches one pass, but if he is good on special teams, let's do it. I think this is the last call tonight.
Yeah, Tony, we were debating going to Greenville, but we decided not to, because Greenville is a college town, and the college students aren't there. Plus, everything's closed for COVID. So, like,
yeah,
I would have to go again to see what it's usually like, And
good point. I mean, it's
my
not
girl,
the same.
Who thinks with her belly just like I do, is like, yeah, I doubt Japan Inn is open, so I don't know if I want to go because I don't know if it's open. But yeah, my girl's mama is a huge Todd Gurley fan, just like most people in that town are. I mean,
like a hero.
They loved him, which, any small town like that is gonna like their player that's a fucking beast. But her, my girl's mama, the school that she went to, and she works there now, that's the rival of the school Gurley played for.
Oh.
And a lot of people used to go to them games and just to watch Todd Gurley. And that whole town, I mean, they probably got their rooting interest, and because it's almost in Virginia, they probably have an obscene number of Redskins fans, and I bet you they got a lot of Panthers fans. But there's a large portion of that town that follows Gurley wherever he goes, so now, unfortunately, they're Falcons fans, which is why we need to get Todd Gurley to take the load off of Christian McCaffrey, because, number one, now we can take the load off of Christian McCaffrey, and then when Christian McCaffrey, gets into Todd Gurley's situation, they could complement each other and they could still be a fucking beast. But anyway, wow.
I'm the only person. I'm saying now Gurley's gonna be good this year.
So apparently he passed his physical.
Yeah, he's gonna be good.
Didn't it take him a couple tries though?
I don't know, but hadn't he passed like multiple physicals the past few years in a row?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know. I'm still not convinced that his knees can hold up for a full workload, dude. He is not.
He's gonna be good. This year.
He always starts out the seasons with like this pop, dude, and like people think like, oh my gosh, he's gonna be beating the record, and then halfway through the season, it is completely different. Like you have a completely different Todd Gurley on the field. I'm not convinced yet that he's gonna be back. I mean, he's got arthritis in his knees, guys. That's not something that just goes away.
Everybody has arthritis in their knees,
but not to a point to where you're missing half of a season because of it.
He's going to be good this year. I believe it. Mark my words. But if I'm wrong, listen to CK. Remember CK's words. All right.
I'm not convinced.
C3 Panthers podcast, numbers 252-228-5098. Thanks for all the people that have been hanging out in the chat room, joining the show. Let's go ahead and kind of wrap it up. We close the show each and every week by icing somebody up, telling them it's our homage to Steve Smith. Ice up, toughen up, get it together, or else we'll take your statue down, bitches. What do you guys want, or who do you want to ice up this week? Any takers?
Yeah, I'll but you want to go first, Greg?
No, go ahead. You're good.
Yeah, I mean, this probably could have even made it into our show. But I didn't even listen to the clip because that's how much the guy pisses me off. Doug Gottlieb. So if you don't know who this utter tool is, whenever Colin Cowherd isn't on his show and it needs a fill-in, they ask this Doug Gottlieb tool to come in and basically just spout the same kind of trivial bullshit that you'll hear Colin Cowherd say on a weekly basis. Or on a daily basis, rather. But this dude was talking about Cam Newton and how his video with Odell, it made it seem like he wasn't trying to show teams that he was ready to win right now and join a football team, but rather he just wanted to make a cool Instagram video with Odell Beckham, like for the flash and the glam, basically making the argument that Cam is still trying to be a superstar personality instead of trying to prove himself to a football team. Like just the most effortless nonsense opinions that you could possibly have. Like, yeah, Cam Newton is such a superstar that he can call up Odell Beckham Jr. and Odell is going to come and train with him. Do you think Teddy Bridgewater's doing that? Probably not. It's
Right.
the same old tired bullshit narrative that's always followed Cam Newton that has never been rooted in any kind of truth. So to Doug Gottlieb and all who believe the kind of shit that him and Cowherd spew, ice up, son.
Ice up.
To be fair, if you think about it, the last 2 seasons, Cam Newton has trained with some of the most psychotic wide receivers in the NFL.
Antonio Brown before, yeah.
That is true.
All right, Greg, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I got 2 small ones real quick because actually normally I have a hard time finding one. I have a bunch of them this week, but I'm going to put 2 quick ones out there. I'm not going to give a lot of details on one because it's kind of graphic. I'm icing up New York City for condoning glory holes as a safe sex practice for casual sex partners. So yeah, just ice up New York City. That's pretty dumb. But the other ice up I got is a kind of a personal one, and it only goes out to a handful of people, a couple people in real life, a couple people on Twitter. I'm not going to mention any names right now, but I'm building a big shed right now. And I used to be a carpenter a long time ago. Haven't done it in about 15 years, but I'm pulling a lot of knowledge from when I was younger. And I had a few people that were kind of skeptical about what I was doing, telling me that I couldn't do it and that I was dumb for doing it like this. But I'm going to save about $8,000 doing this, and it is fucking rock solid. And I'm loving it. So to those people who told me I couldn't do it, ice up.
And fuck them.
Exactly. Yeah, fuck them. I put that video out there on Twitter. That's right.
I love that video. Yeah.
Thank you.
You need a second, CK?
No, I got mine.
Oh, wow. Impressive.
So mine is personally as well. So you guys know I'm doing the gaming, streaming and everything. Got my first troll. So what I do is at the end of my my streams, especially if it's a late night, I do like a wind down. I'll get some like chill music going. I got my lights going in the background. I just sit there and just talk. If somebody wants to chat or something, I'll just talk to them in the chat and whatnot. And somebody came in the other day, and his name was Tommy, and he said, "You're so great," and I'm like, "Thanks." And then he said, "I mean, like, you're really awesome." And I'm like, "Now I'm starting to suspect you, sir." And then eventually he goes, he's like, "I really like this, the wind down." And I was like, "That's cool, man." He's like, "You should definitely grow." And I'm like, "Well, man, obviously it follows, shares, things like that." He's like, "Why would I follow this garbage?" Well, he starts to go on and go further into it. We end up banning him, but dude's a streamer on Facebook too, right? So let's talk about something. If you're going to be a troll, don't do it on a platform where your full name is on your profile and you can see if you're trying to aspire to be a gamer, don't let that be something that people see, because guess what? Now people know you're that much of a jackass, right? Let's be honest. And I am going to go and troll the hell out of him on his.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the most sarcastic, like, "You're so great." I'm going to do almost exactly what he said. But basically, if you're going to be a troll, don't put your real name out there, because you're going to be an idiot, especially if you're trying to be able to make it successfully in a public, standpoint like he is. Ice up, son. Ice up.
Ice up. Oh, yeah.
Ice up.
Don't piss on people's dreams, man. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, he's actually active duty Marines, right? And
so he's not 13.
No, he's not. He's an adult male who is like basically on his page is promoting how he's active military, basically, using his valor to try to get himself farther along. I agree, people, that's okay. If you're active duty, I appreciate it. But if you're going to act like that and perpetuate a stereotype that's actually within Marines, come on now, let's get reality. Let's talk about how, yes, thank you for your service, but you don't have to be a fucking jackass to be, somebody who's in the Marines.
Act like you have Marine decorum if you're going to act like you're a Marine.
Let me ask you guys, each one of you, an honest question on this show is that each one of you has some sort of media type podcast streaming interest outside of here. Who in this group has been one of the most supportive people of that?
Tony Dunn.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is that I haven't done anything special with this podcast, right? Yeah, is like we're proud of what we do in the conversation and the community we've built. But if you look at the numbers, it's so small. It's not anything. But I appreciate people who want to create and grind. You know what I'm saying? Like, and any person that shits on that desire for someone, if you say you're going to write a short story and it sucks, well, you know what? Write another one and do it again.
Yeah.
And do it again and
somewhere.
do it again. But you assholes, not you guys, but these assholes haven't done shit in their lives. Not like they might be very accomplished, but I'm talking about like this in that world. So, you know, when you see a creator, even if you don't like them, even if you don't want to do, like, appreciate that they have the guts to get up there and do it. Instead of, you know, I tell you, everybody's got a great idea to write a book. Everybody's got a great fucking idea, but only some people do it. And so but even if they don't do it well, that's more than an asshole
who doesn't take that chance.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? Just be understanding. This show sucks half the time, and it's great. Well, not great, but it's good half the time. It just is. And we're gonna, you know, so I don't shit on people's desires and dreams, and don't shit on creators, man. Creativity is like a human thing. So that's what is that. You know this. You guys know every time you guys put a show up or whatever, I'm retweeting. I'm saying it's a small thing. It's not really that important. I mean, it's not like I need to be clapped about, but the idea is that's what we all need to do. One retweet, one share at a time, and you build this community that's honest where people come together and it's not fraudulent based on hot takes and things like that. And that's what I love about the C3 Panthers podcast is that the people that listen to it, they know we're not fraudulent, that we're not trying to just boost our numbers and triple them over the next 2 months. And if that's doing Cam Newton hot takes to do it, no, we're just the honest. So support your creators. Just with a damn share, folks. Just with a share. My ice up pick goes the list. I was been vacillating between my children for losing every fucking remote in the house and every Sony PlayStation remote to never be charged. That was one that I was, Greg, would you write with all the things that you say, Greg, at 12 a.m.? I'm like, I feel you, brother. But really, I'm icing up Suddenlink, and it's my internet service provider. For a long time, it's the only cable service provider in Greenville, North Carolina. And so about a year ago, I canceled my cable. I canceled my phone. I canceled everything but the internet, and I tried to do what a lot of you guys are doing now. And I've done it. So all of a sudden, my bill, it didn't go down very much because they penalize people for being for doing that. But my bill goes back up. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? All right. So then I called the guy, and I was like, dude, I got to get this bill down. What the hell is going on? And he's like, well, I see you've got cable. So they didn't even cancel my shit appropriately, or it reverted back to that. But I'm paying $150 right now just for internet.
What?
Yes. He got it down for 400 gig unlimited. I was being charged $150. I said, well, what can you do for me? He said, I could get your bill down by $14.50.
Oh my God.
I was like, all right, well, I'll take that. I will take that. That's a start, right? Like, I'm not going to pass up the $15. But I'm icing up Suddenlink and these big corporations with how they can treat, they can give a
monopolize.
Monopolize but they give a deal to the new customer, which is cool. Like, all right, so it's like we're trying to attract new customers. But if you go onto Suddenlink's website right now and you're a new customer, you can get the same internet package I have, plus cable, plus a phone for $75.
That's
so I don't know if
it off every few years. You and your wife.
I know. It's like I know. I just don't feel that that's ethical, right?
No.
In some ways, I think they should have like, all right, after 2 years, you can reboot at the current promo, something. But I was like, dude, that would be like if I went to McDonald's and you charged me $3 for a hamburger because I've been there before, but the new customer gets theirs for 99 cents. It's the same hamburger, though. Mm-hmm. And he said this. He said the company has told me to say this. He said that we run promos to attract new customers. And the reason you chose Suddenlink 3 or 4 years ago was because of a promo. And I said, whoa, homie. If you weren't a monopoly, maybe that bullshit would fly. I didn't choose Suddenlink last year or 2 years or 3 years ago because of a promotion. I chose them because they're the only cable internet provider. So get that shit out of my face. That's what I told him.
Right.
But I get what I said. If I get a divorce today, can I sign up under my name? And he said he did say you don't have to get a divorce. Oh. But I think it's bullshit that I got to flip and flop, man. Like, I got to not have internet for a day, play this stupid fucking game? No, it should be a 2-year contract. Maybe not. I don't know what the answer is. But why do I got to pay an exorbitant amount? It's bullshit.
You're right. You're right.
ISO.
What's crazy about it? So,
right, dude. Yeah.
So number one, let's first and foremost talk about what you're looking forward to, which is Starlink, right? Which hopefully may be able to bring you internet provider from somebody who's not, so hungry for money, from SpaceX. But the other part is every study, every business major, everybody will say it is cheaper to keep a current customer than it is to get a new customer. And the problem is it's the same thing with the cell phone providers. It's the same thing for anything that's so saturated as a market. You're not getting brand new customers, right?
Right.
You're getting recycled customers. You're getting people who either are with other cable providers or only have you as an option, right? So it's 100% saturation in the market. That's really what you look at. Same thing with cell phones. So your thoughts are, well, why don't we do things to keep the current customers? Because what's happening is all of this flip-flopping.
Yeah.
Everybody's losing money because they're running these crazy promos for new customers. Well, why not just go ahead and do everything in your power to keep the current ones? Because guess what? People are going to come to your company if they start hearing about, oh, man, after 2 years, I still had the same bill that I had when I first went over there. And it's not that expensive.
Why did we all leave DirecTV?
Because my contract ran out and the price went up skyrocket.
And then you call them up. They give you this crazy deal again. It's like an algebra equation. It's like, we'll give you 6 months off.
How much money would they save on the phone lines if they didn't have this constant just let's call and do this, let's call and do this? Because everybody knows now if you get an increase in your bill, just call and threaten to cancel. And guess what? They're going to give you.
They give you $5 off. But what they try to do is hope that your ass is too lazy to do that. They will hope that
exactly what it is,
and they
sort of like those
and they're right.
Subscriptions for 7 days.
They're right. You know what I'm saying? They're going to get all that. The other thing I was talking to this guy, and I had to wait for it and all of this, and I was like, dude, what can you do? I said, I need to keep the same internet. I don't want my internet to go down. I want my bill to go down. It's like, what can you do? Like, and he's like this. He's like, hold on, working on it. Let me try this. Working on it. Let me try this.
Yeah, like he's really doing something.
And I was like this. I was like, man, wouldn't it be awesome if they just gave your bitch ass a optimize button? Like a boop. Like, this is what we do. Like, what if you went to McDonald's? Like, and they were like, well, let me see if I can get you a hamburger for $1.19 instead of $1.29. No. Why don't you give it at the exact price you can profit? I don't know. I was pissed, man. I hate internet service providers. They're the worst.
Yeah.
They're all terrible.
They are. I'm actually going to stop because
they're monopolies. They're monopolies. We needed this. I'm disappointed in Google. That they didn't figure out how to make those hot air balloons work, where they were putting air. They were putting Wi-Fi in the hot air balloons or whatever. Why can't we get that?
Or Google Fiber. Google Fiber didn't really survive either.
Is it over?
Well, they still have it in those.
They have
cities,
it in big cities.
They haven't really expanded it the way they thought they could. Man, it was supposed to be this incredible, like, super fast internet for free for people, and then you could pay for the super fast internet, and that would pay for, like, obviously the data and stuff, but. I thought that was a genius idea.
I wonder if we should maybe start thinking of internet as a utility.
Oh, it's definitely
it definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is.
That's why you're starting to see governments offer grants to get it out to more rural areas, because it is so necessary in today's world to be able to apply for jobs, to be able to go to school,
to
like
bank.
How many kids? To bank?
Yeah,
exactly.
To run the world. Well, let me ask you: when you pay your bills every month, I know for me personally, I'm paying my car payment, I'm paying mortgage, I'm paying power, and I'm paying internet. If I got those 4 paid, I'm gonna be all right. But I got to get those 4 paid, and insurance, But those 4, and internet is one of those. And I would say cable normally, but I can live without cable. If I have internet, I don't need cable.
My wife told me this.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Is as important to me as power and well, not as important, but it is the next thing in line after power and house and car.
Yeah, no, it actually is. I think it might be ahead of my car. And when I say it's like my wife said this to me. She said, "You've got to turn the internet back or get the bill down." This was like last year, and I was like, "Sorry, like if they ain't lowering the bill, like we just gonna pay it." Like I mean, like you go and you do this. Like this is my thing. Like I am not gonna go without being able to do my podcast and fucking dick around on the internet all night.
But the problem is that they like I think Greenville has to do a better job of making sure that they are a more desirable location for other cable companies to come in there and lay their lines.
Yeah,
because that's where the problem there, and actually
they have a deal. They've struck a deal with the devil potentially, and there's arguably not enough people here. Some people say that it's not worth it for these companies.
That's still starting to be an argument that can't be accurate anyway, because of the government grants that are out there to help people be able to get that. Like where I was in Bedford, over here in Virginia, it was the same way. It was that's just not profitable enough for us to run lines. Well, guess what? The government, our town, went out and got grants, and they did I guess budgeted to have a company come in and actually provide internet for everybody, right? And so the reality is now we have competition, because now you have the satellite internet. Now you have the internet the government
that don't count. That's fake internet.
No, yeah, definitely. I agree 100%. But then now you have Comcast, who's actually run lines out there now, because they realize now, listen, people need internet, and it's not necessarily nobody's going to cut off internet, so it's going to be profitable at some point. So not putting those lines down is a bad idea for the long term, because guess what? Somebody's going to come in there and do it.
Right. Exactly.
All right, ice up to suck ass ISP monopolies. Yeah. All right. It's the C3 Panthers podcast. My name's Tony Dunn at @cat_chronicles. We're here Tuesday nights live, 9 p.m. until we make your ears bleed. Cody Lashney, where is the Cripple Connection at?
It is on my YouTube channel, Cody Lashney. You can like and subscribe to the channel. We're doing an episode this Friday, so come and check us out. You can hit me up on Twitter at CodyLac, CodyLac, talking about everything Panthers, everything Clemson. And I'm still writing for DraftTech.com, and there is a new DraftTech mock draft up monthly, and I write every comment for the Carolina Panthers. So check me out.
CK, you're streaming now a lot. You're getting a lot of follows, getting trolls. Where can we find your video gaming at?
You can find me at facebook.com/CodizzleAllen.
Check him out. Check him out. He's badass. And Greg the Bat Daddy, 52, Man of Many Podcasts. Tell us what we can do to find you, because you're infiltrating the airwaves.
All over the place, man. And this is a mouthful right here. So like you said, at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter. I also have my own podcast that I run with a team of 6. That, by the way, those of you who enter the chat, Sarah Taylor is the newest host of my podcast. She's been on plenty of times. She's been invited to the team, so check us out.
Nice.
It is Super Civil Servants podcast, and we now are live every Friday on YouTube at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just like this show, but not as good. So, or not as well done. So, but we're doing that. So we do a live YouTube show every Friday. We post our podcast every Monday. We also have a new network out, is the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network, where I host 2 shows on there, the DC Alliance podcast and the Superhero Discussions podcast. DC Alliance is about everything DC, Superhero Discussions about everything animated, and the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network is where you can go 5 days a week for all your geek needs, anything you want, movies, Marvel, DC, TV shows, We've got it all. Check us out. Give us a like. That's about it, man.
My nerd reference for the night, I'm watching Star Trek Next Generation. All this started in season 1, and I'm pretty sure that they made a weed reference in Klingon tonight. Was what I saw. It's like, what's that smell? And he was like, that smells like her mama. All right. It's the C3 Panthers podcast. We'll see you next Tuesday night. Y'all stay safe. Hope Matt Rule is the next savior.